Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're here 7 nights a week. Bob Pompeani with you down here. Andrew Fillipponi is up at 93.7 The Fan. The number to call is 412-575-2600, or do it on Twitter, or X as you want to call it. It's at KD Pomp at the Pony Express. We have a Pirate win to talk about and how they demonstrate even more pitching depth. But first, I want to talk about the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, number 23 in the history of the franchise. And this is a name that I don't think any of us were mentioning at all, Andrew. Dan Muse comes here. Last year an assistant. It's funny how it works with the New York Rangers under Peter Laviolette. He gets fired, they get fired, make way for Mike Sullivan, and now he's here in Pittsburgh. Your thoughts about the man who looks, he looks like Chris Muller, yes, but more like Joe Block with a touch of Tom Barrasso.
Well, I didn't think about the Barrasso one. That's a good one, Bob. Look, I did not anticipate a guy that was fired as part of a cleaning of the house of the New York Rangers to become the new Penguins head coach. And I get it. He's been successful at the junior level with both a club team and with the U.S. Hockey Under-18 team. But a guy that's been an assistant for 5 years in the NHL, followed Peter Laviolette around, and this was a very underachieving Rangers team. Probably way more so than the Penguins, to miss the playoffs after winning the President's Trophy last year. So, hey, guys can interview well, they can make an impression, but this guy strikes me more as an NHL assistant coach right now, Bob, than a head coach. Yeah, and I'm really surprised that somebody coming from a mediocre team that all got fired would become the new Penguins head coach.
And the thing is, Kyle Dubas was looking for someone who is a, quote, developmental kind of guy, which is fine. He's shown that he can do that, but he also comes to a team that is beyond development. There are a bunch of 30-something guys, most of them anyway, the key players. So I understand why you're trying to, down the road, get some of these guys in your system, acquire more, develop them, but that's a long-term project. If they're trying to get in the playoffs, something they haven't done for 3 straight years, this is interesting to me because they're, again, still trying to walk that fine line between future Pittsburgh Penguin team development versus a team that right now, has their eyes on trying to get back in and winning.
No doubt, but I just did not feel like this guy was anybody's next big thing. And you know that there are assistant coaches who are tabbed or dubbed, okay, this guy is a head coach in waiting. That's happened all kinds of times where someone is on the fast track to be a head coach. And I did not anticipate that someone who was Peter Laviolette's right-hand man would be the next Penguins head coach. And Kyle Dubas said he is prioritizing development in the statement he put out. But to your point, Bob, so what does that say about the rest of the Sidney Crosby era? It's about developing young guys, and it probably should be. But at the same time, if I were Sidney Crosby, I wouldn't want to hear that this is about the long game. He re-upped here. He signed back for a few more years, and it just speaks to kind of the fine line that they have to walk here, the Penguins. It's very difficult to try to build for the future while also trying to win right now.
There's no question about that. And the other thing that crossed my mind, and I have no evidence whatsoever this happened, but was he the #1 pick? And I say that only because Kyle Dubas was tied up in what was going on with the international game they were playing over there in Denmark and for Team Canada. So he's the last guy really to fill their coaching vacancies, it looks like. So, he wasn't a name that everybody was throwing around, which makes me think that maybe he wasn't their first choice. And I don't want to take anything away from Dan Muse that way, but I think it's only natural to ask that question.
I don't think he was. I mean, you did not hear this name thrown out there as the Penguins' top target. Now, maybe Kyle Dubas played things close to the vest, but given the fact that this guy was sent to the unemployment line, and I don't remember his name being bandied about or mentioned for the other job vacancies. Okay, so sometimes there are diamonds in the rough. You never know. Mike Tomlin was not. I mean, he was a hot commodity, but he was an unknown when he was hired by the Steelers. And so maybe that's this guy's course. He's 43 years old. He's still relatively young. I think the Penguins are trying to model themselves, believe it or not, after the Capitals, Bob. And they have got Alexander Ovechkin and older players there, but they also mixed in young guys with a very young coach with Carberry, who is a Dubas guy, by the way. So maybe that's where they're going with this, to try to have it both ways. You got the old guys and you got the new wave of players, and thinking that this can be the coach who brings it all together. But without the NHL head coaching experience, I think that's going to be a very difficult thing to do.
We'll talk about that. We want your phone calls at 412-575-2600. We'll also get into the Pirates who won tonight and the Beanie Bishop little interesting Instagram story that caused a lot of commotion here today. It's all coming up. That's what we do, talk about these things. We invite you to call us at 412-575-2600. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night, and it's from MLB talking about the good pitching performance tonight. Mike Burrows, combined with three others, including Braxton Ashcraft, they shut down the Houston Astros, a pretty good hitting team, 3-0, same score the Pirates lost by last night with Paul Skeens on the mound, and he was outstanding again. But, Andrew, this is an interesting thing because now you have Mike Burrows, who came back from Tommy John. You also have Ashcraft, who's a commodity we've heard a lot about. They have a lot of depth at pitching. There's no question. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it all. I know you can never have enough of it because what we saw with Jared Jones and others. But it was good to see those guys do that tonight. And by the way, they only scored 3 runs on a sac fly and 2 groundouts. So that wasn't exactly an offensive explosion tonight either.
No, you got to manufacture runs when you don't have any power. And O'Neal Cruz is in another one of these kind of low patches of his season. He's gone up and down, red hot and then ice cold, and so we're kind of in another one of those, bear bull situations with him where we're not seeing it right now. They hit Ke'Bryan Hayes 5th, and he could not hit 5th for many AAA affiliates out there with the way his power numbers have just completely evaporated this year. So this is their formula to win low-scoring games, but they've been too low-scoring. I mean, they've been the worst offensive team for most of this season. And you need to offset that with great pitching. And so starting pitching depth is good. They used Luis Ortiz to get Spencer Horwitz. Will they use another one of these arms to get another hitter? They should try. And if Ben Cherington isn't, then there's something wrong with him, because that should be his modus operandi right now. It ain't easy. Baseball trades don't happen every day as far as trading a surplus for someone else's surplus, but still, you got to be able to find a contending team that needs pitching help and see if they've got any good players in reserve in their minor leagues or on the bench who can come here and start and play right away.
Man, this will be a season full of regrets for the Pirates and their front office looking back, because they've been in just about every game for the most part, and they've wasted so many pitching performances. You can argue there could be a 10-game swing in their record if they had any sort of offense at all, and they didn't do in this offseason. We'll see what they do moving forward. In the meantime, we have a lot of calls. Let's get to them, Pony, beginning with Chuck in Uniontown, who joins us, and he's not talking baseball tonight. Chuck, what's up?
Yeah, usually it's baseball, but tonight I'd like to know, do you think that the new Penguin coach will pay more attention to defense, shoring up or blue line and, keeping the opposition out of our end all the time so that goaltending has a better chance to succeed?
Well, I think Carberry did that in Washington. He convinced those guys to play a different kind of hockey, even the veterans. That's going to be a tall task here, though, Andrew, because these guys that are here, the 30-plus-something team of really outstanding skaters and forwards, I mean, Malkin plays the way he plays. Carlson plays the way he plays. Crosby's 200 feet. He's playing as good as anyone still. But my point is, how do you get those guys to play a system that may not be something they want to do? You saw Sullivan last year get frustrated at times after games when he kept saying the same stuff over and over, and they weren't necessarily listening to it.
Yeah. Well, that's the hope when you hire a new guy, is that his message isn't stale, and he has a better way of getting through to guys. Now, we don't know. I mean, this is someone who was basically a penalty kill coach when it comes to his responsibilities with Nashville and New York, okay? It's not like he's famous or world famous for having gotten through to a guy. When Rick Tocchet was Mike Sullivan's coach or assistant coach, he worked wonders with Phil Kessel. We haven't heard those things about Muse with the Rangers and Predators. So he's got a tall task with Erik Karlsson, if Karlsson's still on the roster, to get him to buy in. I don't think it's possible. I don't think the Leopard changes his spots at this point in his career. And what do you do with Chris Letang and Evgeny Malkin? Malkin's in his last year. He's going to be motivated to win and go out with a bang, you'd think. And Letang's coming off a bad year. But if the moral of the story for everybody here is to develop players, then I don't really see those guys feeling like they're part of the bigger picture or the plan. So they've got to all get together. There's got to be interviews now and meetings between this new coach and the veteran players to get them to buy into whatever he's selling.
Absolutely. We'll see if it sounds easy. It's not so easy when you deal with guys who've been playing their way for a long time. Let's go to Mike in Uniontown, who joins us right now on the hotline. What's up, Mike?
Hey, good evening, guys. First, I want to give out some flowers to Pony. You're absolutely a freak when it comes to sports history. I love listening to you and Chris.
He's unbelievable. You can ask him any question, and he'll come up with the answer. It's amazing. I have to give you a lot of credit for that, Andrew.
He's absolutely a freak. So what I want to talk about is Beanie Bishop and Doran this morning. I think I lost a little respect for Doran when he said that if he would have did that when his buddies were next door, they'd have come out and whooped him. Well, and then he said Beanie wasn't professional. That's not very professional. All Doran had to say to Crawley, which I enjoy loving, I love listening to Crawley also because I'm a West Virginia Mountaineer fan. All he had to look at Crawley and say was 13-9, and it would have been done. That hurts a West Virginia fan when we hear that.
Yeah, and also, if you're a Pitt fan, the way they ended last season should be an embarrassment. So, but for those of you who don't know, he went on Instagram, Beanie Bishop. He was called into the Pitt locker room. They were doing some headshots for Sunday Night Football, I think. And when he was there, he did his little Instagram story, stepping on the Panther logo with a poop emoji, which these emojis are being used quite a bit these days. Andrew, your take on that? I know the rivalry is the rivalry, and these are the kind of stuff that spike these rivalries, but he's beyond that now, and he's with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just asked myself, why do you have to do that?
Because I think it's playful and good fun. I mean, if he had done something that was in more poor taste, if he had used a vulgar word to describe Pitt when he posted that video, if he had damaged property, if he had mud all over his cleats and he rubbed it in the carpet or something on the logo, I think that would be unfair and crossing the line because that would have caused someone to have to do more work there to clean it up, and maybe it would have ruined the carpet altogether. But he didn't do anything like that. These were clean cleats. So I think it's good, clean hate. I don't think it's anything that's really inappropriate. Jeff Hathorn, our esteemed reporter here and sports director, said the Steelers didn't discipline him at all for it, so they don't really see a problem with it. I think Mike Tomlin likes guys with an edge and a little chip on his shoulder, and he loves those old college rivalries. So my guess is he sees no problem with it whatsoever. People make the argument, well, they share a facility with Pitt. Okay. Well, if he'd gone and written, eat bleep Pitt or something like that in there, that's different. But he didn't do that. So I see no issue with it. And I think Pitt fans are really hypocritical and contradictory on this, because if a Pitt player had gone to Penn State facilities, if a Pitt alum had done something like this there, they'd want to carry the guy off the field like he's Rudy.
You're right.
And build a statue for him.
You're absolutely right.
I see. Right. So I just don't have a big problem with it. If it crossed a line and he cursed or something or broke something, that's different. But he didn't. So I like that Pitt fans don't like West Virginia fans, and I like that West Virginia fans don't like Pitt. That's the way rivalries are supposed to work, Bob.
Yeah, the football is making sure they go away. And that's what I hate about college football right now. In an effort to come up with these different conferences and games that matter and don't put emphasis on strength of schedule on some of these non-conference, you're going to end up with less of these kind of rivalries, and that's bad for football. I think it's much better to have Pitt play West Virginia, Penn State play West Virginia, Pitt, Penn State, all of it, but we're not seeing it. And by the way, our KDKA.com Connect question, it's an interesting one tonight. Will the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers before training camp? And the large majority of people are saying no. Real quick, Andrew, do you think they will? Because I think it's going to go all the way to training camp.
Well, that's a bad job by Aaron Rodgers, because this is time he won't get back. You've got Calvin Austin there. You've got Roman Wilson there. I think DK Metcalf would be there if Aaron Rodgers was there. And so you need to work out some of the kinks before you really hit the ground running in training camp. And every other starting quarterback is doing that with their teams. Why would Aaron Rodgers with a new team want to deliberately or on his own intentionally put himself behind the 8 ball? So I think that's disappointing. He should. I'm with you. I don't think he will, because Aaron Rodgers plays by his own rules.
Yeah, so what's his motivation? That's my question. What is he doing this for? Because he just wants to stay away from all these activities that he feels he doesn't need? But if he's going to make an impact here, why not at least come for a little bit? You don't have to stay here every single OTA and every single minicamp or whatever.
Bob, I think it's his arrogance. I think he still feels like he's an elite quarterback, and he can show up when he wants and still get the job done. And he views this time of year is something that isn't vital to his success as a quarterback. Now, I don't know why he would feel that way after what happened in New York last year. He did not have a good season. He's 41 years old. So I think I'd want a quarterback at that age who was doing everything in his power with his teammates to set himself up for success. And Aaron Rodgers sounds like he's unwilling to do that. So maybe he does a 180 and he shows up for minicamp next week, but I wouldn't bet on it.
All right, I have a tweet here, a couple of them about the U.S. Open, which is coming up, and the time we have left. When we come back, I'm going to get into this. But the gentleman, Kevin Bandy, says, I was watching your broadcast, Bob, in 1994 when you predicted Ernie Els would win the U.S. Open at Oakmont. Can you make another prediction like that for now? I did pick Ernie Els in that one. It was just, picking a name on it, but he was hot at the time. But we'll talk about that, Andrew. I'd like to hear what you have to say about it and what scores we're looking at, because that place is looking tough. We got to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll talk about that and some other issues as we continue right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Ken Rice, what do you got cooking tonight for 11 o'clock KDKA News?
Hey, Bob, we're following breaking news in McKeesport right now. A body discovered there. We're live. Plus, we're going to have the latest about what caused a home to explode today in Butler. And Ray Petlin is tracking some storms, all coming up right here, Bob, at 11.
All right, Ken, thanks very much. Kevin Bandy asked me my pick for this U.S. Open. I did correctly think that Ernie Els was going to win in 1994, which was a really hot week. Hopefully we'll get that kind of weather, but it's a big field, Andrew. You do this for FanDuel. I know Spieth will get Scheffler will get the overwhelming support, and he's as hot as anyone. But a guy like Jordan Spieth has had history there. And also a guy that I think you have to really watch out for is Shane Lowry. The last time he was at Oakmont, 2016, he finished -1. There were only 4 guys in red figures. He was one of them and only 3 off the lead. But I don't know who I'm going to pick. Do you?
Well, one of the guys I like, even though he's never won on American soil, because I think his game fits Oakmont, is Fleetwood. And he's 31-1. He's a long shot, and I think he's a very live dog given the way his game fits the Oakmont troublesome. Got to drive it long and straight there to win, Bob, and I think he's got the game to do that.
One other note, we look like overtime here coming up in Game 1 of the NHL, 3-3. Oilers trail 3-1. They got a goal by Victor Arvidsson and then a late goal, but how about Kasperi Kapanen? 2 helpers tonight, Andrew.
And I think, did Evan Rodriguez score another Stanley Cup final goal? If he did, that's 8 for him in his career, which is crazy.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, he in many ways should still be here. That's going to do it, Pony. Thanks. Appreciate it. We'll see you again tomorrow night.
See you, Bob.
That's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We appreciate that.